Welcome to Cut Daisies and Unicorns, and this is a Trailer Friday. So hopefully you've gotten into that whole rhythm and groove of how we're releasing, and that Friday trailer becomes something that you like to check in with to find out what the episode's going to bring, and if it's going to be an interview, if it's going to be Phil and Steve. And I would say season 2, Steve, has been a lot of Phil and Steve, right? I mean, we've had some interviews, good interviews, people coming across.
My word. This is me being animated right at the camera and saying, lots of Phil and Steve, lots of Phil and Steve. And then I look away from the camera to my left. Change the button. Now we're here together. Yeah. You know what? There are people who just don't have the flexibility in their schedule. Now, does that make it like an oxymoron is like jumbo shrimp, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's really funny, we are actually oxymorons.
Mm.
Heavy on the moron, really light on the oxy, especially if you think oxy is oxycodone.
Right.
But
Not a fan.
because, I mean, like we have flexible schedules, but we're really deep down. People probably don't know this. Well, they probably picked up on it as we've talked about it more. But I mean, like we're schedule people.
Yeah.
That was formed in me from my previous employment.
Yeah.
You know, and so then I get all wound up and spun up, and things get out of schedule, and I just get angry inside. And yeah. But yeah, so since we talked about this, I think in our last trailer.
We did.
That so getting the interviews.
Yeah, and I think that as you mentioned as well, I mean we've got some people who are interested.
Yeah.
We're working on then what does that schedule look like? How do we handle the work of other people as well that we want to bring in to interview? And yeah, so it's going to be a little bit different, but I think it's a good opportunity to be flexible.
Please be flexible.
Right.
Nadia Comaneci. Flexibility.
Right. Olympics.
Famous gymnast from probably, I believe, the 70s, or maybe it was in the 80s that she...
It could be 80s, I think.
Yeah, that's when I believed in the Olympics.
Mm.
Did you realize, did this come up in our patriotism, that the actual lighting of the torch for the Olympics was instituted by Hitler?
Yeah, I think you brought it up then.
All right. See, hey, so I'm a little bit jet lagged, everyone. Just flew in from Santa Barbara last night, got home about midnight, and then up and at 'em this morning to be able to get in here. And so the things that I remember saying are even less than what I don't remember saying before.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's always the beauty, is sometimes you're going to have some repetition from us, and it's okay, because repetition isn't bad. It just gets it a little bit more in your brain.
And for people who haven't heard us talk about this stuff before, it's an insight to saying, oh, maybe I should go watch Patriotism, Nationalism, and Bob Ross.
Don't miss the Bob Ross part.
Oh, man, you know what? That's the part where they got to, if you don't get anything else, at least get our weather update and get to the end when we talk about Bob Ross.
Right.
I wouldn't do it 10 seconds at a time, though.
Mm-mm.
You know how YouTube, you can hit the little button, 10 seconds, 10 seconds.
A little bit.
It's a 2-hour session, so it would take you lots of 10 seconds at a time.
Right.
It would be 6 pushes for every minute. There's 120 minutes, so that'd be like 700 and some odd pushes.
Right.
More
That's
than
a lot
that.
of pushing.
Probably 800 pushes at 10 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, we've got this figured out. We know how to take the cursor and like plug it in the other section. Yeah,
Right.
We know that.
We know you're smart.
Yeah, so on Trailer Friday, then we try to bring a little bit of what we talked about. And we head into mindfulness. helping people take a look at themselves. This is not about being a better human to other humans. It's actually, hey, when's the last time you sat down and considered what you're going through?
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of opening up the door to conversation. I think for the first time, what I ever spoke into the universe of what we're trying to do is the Cut Daisies and Unicorns movement.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that.
Right. Hashtag.
We're not yet a sponsor.
I guess we could be a sponsor of our own show.
Well, we already are.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, and so we pull up University of Michigan and use that guideline. You're going to see Phil operating in a mystical motion that is just not even slightly eerie. It's very eerie as he's working through his mind the different things that can help people be better individual people for themselves. And he just starts pulling stuff out, and it's on the list. Right. I mean, that was
crazy.
That was, and
it was like next on the list. It wasn't.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
It's almost like you're a student of helping people become better people.
Maybe. It's very possible.
Yeah. If you're wondering what craft, he's a crafty dude. We talk about Phil and Steve Love.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets a little bit icky.
Somebody will cringe, I'm assuming.
And hey, and to start out, really in a lighter note of what's going on, we have great conversation around silly movies and comedy and kind of helping people get to know us better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we also bring up, the idea of the pandemic and that, yes, we all had a shared experience.
Yep.
And that we can learn about the good and the not so good, through that. But to be able to just dismiss it and try to fast forward, not a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can learn from where we've been and how that's going to propel us into the next.
Yeah, and it's not a whiny session. And so for those of you who are tired of the pandemic and tired of hearing about it and all that stuff, this is not a whine fest about the calamity or anything like that. It's more of navigating that. Since it is a shared experience, we're actually looking for people to look in at themselves in self-awareness, raising self-awareness. Take a barometer reading on where you're really at. We share some spiritual insights on my life of progression in regards to some study and some things that I've been doing, but it's not focused on the spiritual side of things like a few episodes ago where we really did focus on that, but brings us to a place on, and it's not mental health awareness topic necessarily as much as, hey, what do you find, where do you find yourself at, and what are some tools that are helpful to get unstuck if you're finding yourself in a stuck place, and just celebrating the opportunity to be able to be more self-aware.
And I would say if you are a note taker, it would be a good episode for you to write some stuff down.
Yeah.
There's both questions that we pose, but I think that there's also a lot of, the Western Michigan stuff, that list, those are good things to go and revisit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you're not stuck now, and you don't have to be, but if you eventually all people are going to find themselves in that position. So how do you find your way out?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So take some notes. I think I'm going to listen to it and take some notes too. Even though I was a part of the conversation.
Right. Well, and that's the part that we find, we could probably add 3 people to staff on this podcast, and we would still be swimming with our noses barely above water.
Right.
But I concur strongly that there are so many things that we talk about that send me back, and I'm like, man, I should do the work on that. And this is one of them.
Right.
So that means you and I are committing to, since this is episode 9,
Right.
we're going to be getting ready for episode 10. We actually have a decent amount of space because we're taping today on Monday, and we won't be in town together on Thursday. That's why we're doing our taping. But you're getting the trailer on Friday. Sunday comes, and then we won't be meeting again until the next Thursday. So we've got some time to do the work.
We'll
so
have a little bit of break.
We're going to commit to that. You'll get in the last episode of season 2, and then we're going to create a break.
Right.
And then, and actually, we're going to start the planning and the prompting for our live Sunday night.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we're, as we mentioned before, trying to be able to do that at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And this will be, I think, we're going to do an episode 1, and then we do
Yep.
the live show. But it's right at the top of the new season.
Yeah, and I think our episode 1 of season 3 is going to be a season 1 and 2 recap. Maybe a highlights reel. Maybe that's what I should do. Is I should pull some highlights that we can put on the computer and we can play, and then come back and comment on. That would be fun.
Yeah.
And then that gets everybody kind of caught up on season 3. We're halfway through the year. We revisit some different things. If you want to make cut daisies and unicorns a drinking game, there's some episodes that if you say how many times does Steve swear, but we'd have to identify those so that people could use it as a drinking game. And then the other thing is we do a general rolling through different topic things, and so that is, we're going to be able to do that. But I'm sure in our highlight reel we're going to bring up some fringe.
Obviously,
Yeah.
Gots to.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we'll bring up is some personal health and wellness. And then we've got some religion cuts, the decentralization of the religious structure that manifested itself as the Western cultured church. Yeah. And then the other part that so we'll go through all those things, and that has to do with my travel schedule, because I'm going to be in the eye of the needle, Seattle.
The needle.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Seattle?
Have I?
Yeah.
No,
Never. Have you ever been to the Great Northwest there?
I have not. I'm actually super excited.
Yeah.
I
don't think I've ever been in Seattle though. I've been in, Oregon. I've been up in that area. I've never spent time in Seattle though.
Yeah. I was talking to Chad, the guy who cuts my hair, and he was telling me that, because I was wanting to get up into Vancouver, and he's like, "Yeah, they're not taking you."
Oh, so they're stopping.
Apparently, Canada's not letting people, and it has to do with the shots. They, like, in their own country.
Wow.
So I'm heading to Seattle. I'm going to be there like Tuesday through Sunday. It's going to be a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday through Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah. But I did. I told Amy, I'm like, I've never been, and I've heard great things. Karen Kennedy has always talked highly about that, when her children and grandchild lived out in that area. And I'm like, I need to explore. Plus, it's the birthplace of, like, the punk rock scene in 90s grunge, right? More 90s grunge, probably, is what I should say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could meet any of the members of Foo Fighters. I mean, they don't live there. I believe that they live in California.
Do they?
I do.
Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, they did some stuff back in Seattle again, but I think you're right.
Got to chew on the Foo. Hey, you know what? I've got a question, and I'm going to create an awkward silence for you for our listeners to fill in the blank, but what is the most heard Billy Joel song as you go throughout your life, whether it's on the radio, in grocery stores, or wherever? What is the most heard Billy Joel song that you've heard?
It doesn't even take awkward silence there because I already have my answer.
Well, I know you do, but I'm letting people get awkward.
Oh, so yeah, for them.
It's really it's meant to make them feel as uncomfortable as when we talk about how much we love each other and what that does or doesn't mean in the episode coming up on Sunday. You're like, this is the. I'm telling you, if there's nothing that you would really want to watch in the next episode, at least have to make it through the first 32 minutes because it gets really weird.
All right.
Yeah.
There's some stuff you don't want to miss.
You're like, is this really happening? And the answer is yes, it really did happen, and we didn't cut it out. I loved it when Fordyce was like, man, I wonder what they're going to do with that 2 hours and how they're going to cut it down. I'm like, we're not cutting that down. The only thing we would do is, like, the thought was, should we like release it, in 2 sections, for better digestibility of your ear holes. But no, we just put it out there. Let people, hey, if you don't make it through, you're like, this is insane, I'm not even listening to this. Then you can shut it off. See that it's within your power.
Go back to it. It's what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, like whether it's in my audio. My audio podcast will always tell me where I stopped.
Wow. Artificial intelligence.
You just jump back in. There's the little progress bar. Leaves me right where I left off.
Perfect. All right. So, Phil, what is the song of Billy Joel that you hear the most?
Well, so I'm going to go back to, because we mentioned Step Brothers in in this episode coming up.
Yeah.
And in Step Brothers at the Catalina Wine Mixer.
Okay.
The guy jumps up and says, so they bring in a Billy Joel cover band, and they only do Billy Joel doo-wops.
Okay.
And the guy yells, Billy Joel doo-wop sucks. So I'm not going to take the Billy Joel realm of doo-wops.
Okay.
The one that always sticks out to me, and I hear, like it whether or not something's playing in the background, but it's Piano Man. So
that's exactly what I formulated. Now, I do have in the Earthen Warehouse studio a Billy Joel DVD of a concert that he did before they tore down some baseball stadium in New York.
Oh, yeah. That was probably the Mets stadium, I think.
Yeah.
Or no, the Yankees. I think the Yankees were switching over. But
okay. So I've listened to that concert probably 2 or 3 times. And but then, I'm like literally on my commute every week. I will hear Piano Man in the morning on the commute at least 2 to 3 times.
Yeah.
Then I walk into the grocery store and I hear it. Now, I will say on the streets of Santa Barbara, I did hear We Didn't Start the Fire. But that was the first not Piano Man song of Billy Joel that I heard in syndication being, played through or whatever. Right. I'm like, what in the world? The dude's got so much good music. Yeah. I mean, he's got a lot of great music. Why is what? Can you imagine?
Why is it limited to?
Yeah. He gets his royalty check, and it lists all the songs being played, and it's like got Piano Man 8 million times, and Billy Joel, he's like, I don't care, it's paying the bills, But there's so much.
Yeah, one of the ones my mother-in-law has, it's only on a soundtrack. It's never appeared on one of his albums. Is Benny and the Jets? I don't know. You know that song? Benny and the Jets.
Yeah, but that's Elton John's song.
Oh, is it? Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Look at that.
No, I'm pretty sure Benny and the Jets is Elton John.
Oh, yeah.
Again,
Elton John's one of your favorites.
I mentioned in the episode coming up is I really, really have.
I have been wrong, so it's.
Yeah, Elton John, Benny and the Jets, 1974 hit.
And that's on a soundtrack, right? It's not on an album, right?
I did not want to bring up YouTube. Sorry about this, everyone. This is where Steve does not multitask well. No, I've heard Benny and the Jets on.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that was.
Now, what I will say is it very well could be that Billy Joel, Goodbye. It's on the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album. So it's
so it is on an album.
Yeah.
Did it debut on a movie though? A soundtrack?
I have to get to the Wikipedia. Man. No, it first appeared on Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album in 1973. It's been one of John's most popular songs and performed during his appearance at Live Aid.
Wow, I was just way off on this Benny and the Jets. Sorry, everybody. Now I'm all embarrassed.
So the track was a massive hit in the United States and Canada, released in 74 as an A-side and spelt Benny, Bennie. Mm-hmm. In most territories, the track was released as a B-side to Candle in the Wind, but spelled Benny, Benny. Track was released as an A-side in the UK in 1976 as Benny and the Jets. And Toppin said that the song's lyrics are a satire on the music industry of the 70s. The greed and glitz of the early 70s music scene is portrayed in his words, "We kill the fatted calf tonight, so stick around. You're going to hear electric music, solid walls of sound. She's got electric boots, a mohair suit. You know I read it in the magazine. Oh." Yeah. Yeah. So sorry about that, but actually, usually I don't have the information that is that specific.
Yeah, and I don't know why I got stuck in that thinking of.
Well, I tell you what, they both play piano.
They do
very well.
Right.
Yeah, and I believe in the concert DVD that Billy Joel has Elton John come out and sing. He also has that Beatle.
Paul McCartney?
Yeah, Sir Paul comes out, does a couple tunes. Yeah.
Wow. All right.
I know.
Looks like I need to shame myself. Bring out the whips.
Oh, man. Yep. And I really appreciate dueling piano people who can just rip and they know what keys they're doing all their stuff and with just an iPad or a phone and somebody calls out a name and they dive into a song and they know all that stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah, we went to a dueling piano in Vegas with some friends and they and that was one of the songs that
Yeah, very iconic opening chord progression and the fingerings of the ivories.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, so I got a legal question that nobody's in trouble. Jeez. Don't go there. So my question is if stuff is on YouTube and we publish on YouTube, why can't we use YouTube stuff on our podcast to publish on YouTube? It's like a redundancy. We're creating a little wormhole of goodness where other YouTube things can be found on our YouTube stuff.
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I guess you'd have to always find, because there is stuff on YouTube that is not copyrighted or not protected. So that you, I guess, could share if it's not.
Yeah, but you know what YouTube's going to do?
They're going to say it's somebody else's
When you
stuff.
load it up, it's going to say, protected or copyright infringement or, it's whatever. We want syndication. It'd be really cool if we could have our whole podcast move to the Wilco building,
right?
Wilco Towers, and and we could do. And people are like, "Do you really want that?" I'm like, the answer is probably no. But hey, we put.
It'd be nice to be asked, though.
Yeah, it's one of those things where. You like to be able to be asked the question that you could say no to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I would probably move into a gray area. What I would do is I'd be like, hey, we'll try it for a couple months, and if it doesn't work out for us, then they'd come back with some rider on the thing that you sign and the agreement, and stuff, and they're like, no, we want to lock you in for 12 months, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I got 12 months of this in me for you. I mean, we have it for us, yeah, but then all of a sudden you have a schedule imposed on you. And now you're talking about two guys who like schedules that don't like schedules imposed.
Right. That's the key right there. Just unlocked it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We're full of all this stuff. Let's see. We got anything else?
I think that I've got to jump on a plane at some point in time in probably a couple hours. So
yeah,
we probably should wrap things up, and I can get things in a suitcase.
All right. So we're going to leave with this thought in mind then, and we just want to let everybody. I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I want you to know this episode it's in the future, but it's going to be in your present. And the thing that I want you to know is we believe in you. We believe that you have something to offer to others. And if you say, but Steve, my cup's so empty, I can't even offer it for myself. I'm telling you, part of you getting unstuck from that kind of mentality is to move outside of yourself. And there are people around you who care about you. They want you to be a vibrant part. What you're bringing, you're like, you don't even know me. And I'm like, I don't have to, because we are surrounded by the unicorns among us. And so you are one of them. And if you're like, nobody loves me, nobody wants to listen to my mess, we're saying, no, that's not true. Stop thinking that way and grab onto the idea that you matter. And you matter and make a difference in other people's lives. And so if you feel stuck, then listen close, grab a piece of paper, and get yourself into a place where you can have meaningful conversation. All right. And so with that, that's what I'm giving.
Right. Hashtag unique unicorn.
Hashtag not yet a sponsor. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for listening. It is Trailer Friday, and this Friday is a great day to start the weekend. Hope you have a great weekend. It's Father's Day weekend. We kind of give a promo and a prep for that.
Right.
And just know, if you wonder what your dad would really like for Father's Day, it could just be as easy as, hey, I'm glad you're my dad.
It could be.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You don't have to spend any money. No.
Just think about that.
Yeah.
And share it.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we will say goodbye so we can get Phil on a plane.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend.